Hi, everybody. Welcome to Living the Dream with Barry Borthistle, co-founder and presidential director of Trivita. He has really great words of wisdom today, so I'll let him take it away.
Thank you, Christy, and thank you all for tuning in. I know a lot of people listen to the recordings. This is our fifth webinar on So You Want to Be an Entrepreneur, Living the Dream. And we're very excited about the reaction that we're getting. The first couple of ones we talked about goal setting and vision and all of those things, which are very, very important. Last 2 weeks ago, we started talking about the importance of passion. And it's very, very important. We all know that Trivita is going through a change, and change is never easy. But our industry has changed greatly, and I really believe that as we unveil our whole new program, which is still in the works, we're going to lead the pack in this exciting industry. You know, as I've said before, Apple had to change, and they did, and look what happened. Kodak didn't, and look what happened to them. So we've got some very, very exciting things to share with you tonight. We'll try to keep these to 30 minutes, which we, I think, have been pretty good in doing. So when we go to slide number 2, we're going to talk tonight about passion. And Vince Lombardi, the former coach of the Green Bay Packers and Washington Redskins, I think probably the two men that have influenced my life very, very much over the past has been Vince Lombardi and Winston Churchill. And Vince Lombardi was very big on passions. And his whole concept represents 3 areas. Number 1, you have to excel. Number 2, you've got to be disciplined. And number 3, you've got to be committed, and then you got to win. You know, we're living there. We want to win. We don't want to lose. So I'm sure all of us can apply these principles to all areas of our life. So on slide number 3, I want to talk a little bit about Vince Lombardi. At age 45, Vince Lombardi became the head coach of the Green Bay Packers. In just 9 years, he became the symbol of excellence for an entire sport. In his first year, Green Bay went 1-11. In 1958, and then 7-5 the next year. He went on to be voted Coach of the Year. In the next 8 years, the Packers won 5 national championships and the first and second Super Bowls. I remember the story I heard about Vince when he first took over the Packers. They had a season 1 win, 11 losses, and he was hired as head coach. And as I understand the story, he walked into the dressing room and he said it was holding a football. And he held up the football and he said to his players, "What is this?" And of course they all mocked him and said, "Well, coach, don't be so silly. It's a football." He said, "Well, you guys may know it's a football, but you obviously don't know what to do with it." Silence dropped over the dressing room. He had their attention. And by the way, Winston Churchill, if you haven't seen The Darkest Hour, you should see it. It's an absolutely fabulous movie. So on to slide number 4. Vince Lombardi, he died, unfortunately, in 1970. Some people died too soon. After moving to Washington, where in his first year as coach of the Redskins, led them to a 7-5 season as well. The Lombardi philosophy has lived on. It transcends, this is really important, it transcends football, and truly captures the fundamentals of success in any sport, in any business, in any life, and I would say in any family. On to slide number 5. Now, we all know on Trivita that we have 10 essentials. Well, a couple of weeks ago, we talked about 10 essentials of vision, which I thought was very, very interesting. Now we're going to talk about 10 essentials from the perspective from the greatest coach in football and one of my mentors. There's no question about that. Number 1 is truth is determined through the filter of experience and personal reflection. That's really important. For example, this Living the Dream series that we started, we basically quadrupled our attendance since we first introduced it, Christy and Garth, a few weeks ago. This came about because I sat down and talked about what can we do to start bringing a new concept, a new communication to the field. That's really what I did. That's where it was an idea that came to me through personal reflection. Number two, the end never justifies the means. And I know we all know that, but I take from that for my own personal view to be truthful and honest in everything that I do. Number three, values are not culturally defined. Boy, do we need that today. God created us all equal. It doesn't matter whether you're black or white or yellow or where you're from, the south or the north. We're all equal. The values are not culturally defined to one type of people. Values are all of us together. Really, he obviously used that in his football coaching. Number four, not all values are equal. And there again, that's very personal to me. Probably my most personal relationship, would be with God and with my marriage. My marriage vows are very, very personal. So that's a little bit different than another value. So there again, that's number four, and it's very personal. Number five, life is cause and effect. In other words, sooner or later, you do sit down to a banquet of consequences. We all know that. What I have tried to do over my entrepreneurial life, and even before I got into this crazy business of entrepreneurship, I hope I would say, all right, if I make this decision, what are the consequences? Now, for example, in this new Myo Health infomercial, I chose to go for the Executive Builder program. I can tell you that I am thrilled with the response, absolutely blown away by it. Now, I sat down and said, now, if I do this, what will the consequences? I didn't know what the consequences would be in that case, but I know exactly what's happened, and I couldn't be happier. I'm blown out of my mind with what's happened. So that's an important one. Again, that's very personal. Next one, number six, would be there are moral absolutes which must take precedence over social or economic expediency. There again, that's honesty, integrity, loyalty, things like that. And the other day I heard, this is really interesting to me. The other day I heard, I'm a great researcher. I love to research subjects. And I heard it was on television. I haven't had time to research it yet, but it came, I think, out of somewhere in Europe. I guess every year what they do is they sit down and they try to establish worldwide what are the number one moral absolutes, or what's your biggest concern, I guess they put it that way. And in the past few years, it's been things like climate change and environmental things, finances, poverty, and so forth. But for the first time, the number one concern, and this is worldwide, is corruption. And I don't think I have to go any further than that, but I found that very, very interesting. On the next slide, slide number 6 is number 7, Rules by Vince Lombardi. Commitments are more important than self-interest. I love this one. Today we live in a world where commitments sometimes don't mean too much. Well, let me talk a little bit about Michael Ellison. We all know that Trivita's been going through a tremendous change. And I probably know more of the story than what most of you do, but this man has been committed to making this successful. And it's more important than self-interest. I mean, if I could tell the whole story, I would. I won't. That's up to him. But the commitment that he has made to lead this is absolutely incredible. And I have to give him praise and honor for that. Number 8, no self-interest is worth your reputation. In the coming webinars, one of the subjects that we're going to be talking about is servanthood leadership, something that, again, has kind of gone by the board in many areas of the world today. But that's what that one really means. And I know that Vince Lombardi used that principle. Principle number 9, it takes years to build a reputation, but only one instant to lose it. And that again is true leadership. And that's an incredible one. A lot of these are very personal, but I encourage you to read them and apply them to yourself. And last but not least is truth is knowing that your character is shaped to your everyday choices. Now, I want to tell you a story where I applied this principle to my life. This was many years ago, and it was about truth and honesty. It was over in Hong Kong, and over in Hong Kong, when you're there, you buy you don't buy clothes on the rack. They're all made tailor-made for you, and they're expensive. And we bought I forget $3,000 or $4,000 worth of tailor-made suits, but we had to leave Hong Kong before they were ready. So what happened was they said, "Well, we'll ship them to you." Okay, that's fine. So 2 or 3 weeks later, I came home and there was a box at the door, a fairly good-sized box. I thought, "Oh, good, that's my suits." Well, on the label, what they had done is they just put suits. They had put no value. So I guess when it went through the customs, they just thought it was just a package. I knew that there was about $4,000 worth of suits in that box, and that there was going to probably be $400 or $500 worth of custom duties on that. So I opened it up, and it would just come right through customs. So I thought, well, what do I do with this? Well, the first response, I'll be honest, I just saved myself $400. Great, wonderful. And I thought, no, that's not truthful. I know that I owe money on that. So I'll never forget, I went down to the border, took the package with me, told them the story. I'll never forget the customer officer's response. She looked at me, she said, "Are you crazy? Why are you doing this?" I said, "Well, look, if I sent in my taxes and I made a mistake and you owed me $400 or $500, would I expect the government to give it to me?" And she said, "Yes." I said, "Well, then why shouldn't I do the same?" I'll never forget this. It was so funny. She stopped the whole place and she said, "Guys, you got to come over and hear this story." Now, I'm not saying that to brag on myself. I'm just saying that truth is knowing that your character is shaped by your everyday choices. I could have chosen not to do that. I would have never been caught, but I would have lived with that the rest of my life. So I hope that is just a personal story on number 5. Vince on number 10. I'm sorry. On slide number 7, Vince Lombardi. I just want to read a couple of his quotes here. Yeah, I love quotes, and especially his. So let me read them to you. "You've got to be smart to be number one in any business. But more importantly, you've got to play with your heart, with every fiber of your body. If you're lucky enough to find a guy or a girl with a lot of head and a lot of heart, he's never going to come off the field second." Oh, I love it. "I would say that the quality of each man's or woman's life is the full measure of that person's commitment to excellence and victory." We don't want to be losers. We want to be winners. Whether it be football, whether it be business, whether it be politics or government, I'm going to put in home, marriage, or what have you. Once you have established the goals you want, that goes back to goal setting, and the price you're willing to pay, you can ignore the minor hurts, the opponent's pressure, and the temporary failures. And the last slide on passion is the importance of passion. He obviously has it. I like to think I do it. And the other thing we're trying to do is to build a community around the new reinvented Trivita. And I love the quote of Dr. Phil on number 8. "If you build a relationship," that's what we're trying to do, "with an individual or group, by recognizing them and teaching them to value themselves as an individual or a group, they will follow you anywhere." Now, as we go to the next slide on Hawaii, I'm going to be playing the music in the background. I may just get my tape going here so you put us all in the right. We've got much more of a explanation. I'm not going to take time. You can look at them from the slides when you get the recording as to the rules and regulations. We weren't very explicit last week. I hope you can hear that. There we got to set the atmosphere, There we go. All right, there we go. We're going to go to the rules in just a moment. There we are. There's the new contest rules. But I want to say, too, the other thing, Garth's going to come on and talk about the exciting things that are happening in Facebook. And our whole goal on Facebook is to get ITBOs for you people. That's the whole goal. And we're going to get there. It takes a while. It's all new to us. Garth will give you an update. But the other thing that I want to say about it, too, is that he's also going to mention a huge live stream coming up on March the 28th. You don't want to miss it. Now, one of the things, we're not going to tell you everything that's going to be on it because we're not certain, but I can tell you this, and I want you to listen to this, that Trivita's brain health product formulated with ingredients rich in science. You're going to hear from a neurologist, Dr. McBurney. The brain product is in the May catalog. Michael feels that the brain infomercial, which will probably happen maybe in September, something like that, with our Dr. Sheeler, Mayo Clinic medical doctor, doesn't get any better than that. You're going to hear a lot on the 28th. So I'll let Garth take over in just a minute. But there's the contest rules. Is it all on one page there, Christy, or do we have another one? There we go. It's all right there. So there's the contest rules, and it's effective March 1st, and it includes new ITBOs that you sign up. It doesn't have to just be the contest. So you sign a new ITBO up, that counts, and plus the other ones that we're able to give you as we progress. So there is the update from my perspective, and with that, I'm going to turn it over to Garth to give you some exciting news about 3 different subjects, including what's happening on Facebook. Garth, take her away.
Thanks, Barry. I just wanted to talk about Hawaii because Barry's been very generous to help incentivize all of us to go out and build a business. And the 2 things that to build a business is enrolling new ITBOs. So the contest is based upon that. You need 2 new ITBOs during the contest period, the whole time. And then for every group of 25 new co-op members that those ITBOs buy, you get 1 point. So it's really simple. Basically, it's about getting the ITBOs to do new co-op, and everything will go great from there. So with that, I'd like to move on to what Barry had talked about. And one last comment about this thing. This is a very generous offer. It's a beautiful place. The Hilton Hawaiian Village in Honolulu, I've stayed there. It's a gorgeous stay. Picture yourself in Hawaii, build your business, and have a lot of fun doing it. And you got right up to the end of September. So it's a very rewarding and generous contest. Okay, so with that being said, I just want to update you briefly as Barry asked me to. We've been using our little animated video on solving the #1 problem that people in home-based businesses have, which is getting customers. We all know in Trivita we have a fantastic solution for that. And we're getting lots of hits and lots of views and lots of people looking at us, still working on making good connections and having conversations and then passing them over to you. So we're very happy with where we're at. As Barry said, it's a process. Christy and Greg and myself chat daily on it. We reached out to North today. We had a good talk with North on it. So we are we're making progress every day, every week on it. And obviously, as those leads become available, you guys can participate in that as well. Next announcement is save the date. Barry had mentioned to it. We believe it's Wednesday, March 28th. Watch your back office and your emails for notice direct from Trivita. Very special webinar with Michael Ellison about the exciting future of Trivita. There's one, well, there's a lot of really key announcements. There's one really good one. I know a little bit of it, and you guys are going to love it. Love it. It's going to be fantastic. So be on that call, get your group on that call. We really are starting to build some momentum. the MyoHealth show is doing very well. It's really producing new customers, and as Barry said, we are very happy with the results of what we're seeing from those customers. So, lastly, before I turn it back to Christy, I guess, is just a reminder of the unique opportunities to help support a new clinical trial behind Nopalea. Nopalea, as you know, is a fantastic media product that's done very well in the media. And the company needs the new clinical because they've altered some of the ingredients from the original clinical study years ago. And we need this clinical study to be able to go back onto the air and start producing another crop of new customers and new co-op opportunities. So we have an opportunity to participate in that. If you go to the next page, Christy, the company's being very generous. So for every donation of certain levels, you can see that you get free product basically, and it's kind of a win-win scenario. You get free products, the company gets the clinical, we get the infomercial, which we know will bring in customers, and we get to build our business. So to me, it's a great 1, 2, 3, 4 obvious solution. So the link for that is in your back office. Click on that. You'll see it right at the top of the news and information. All the links are there on that. So with that, I think that's all my updates and announcements.
Well, no, I gotta say one word, then I'll let Christy close. You're not surprised, Garth, are you?
I don't know.
I want to kind of finish, this one on passion with kind of giving the big picture of where we're heading, because you've got to look at the end sometimes, and that's what Vince Lombardi. He took a team that wasn't doing very well, and he looked at winning a Super Bowl. So he had the big picture in the future, and obviously very, very successful. And I think that's where we are too. With all the changes, not only in Trivita, but also in the industry. The number one problem in our industry, by far, you ask anybody in any company, I don't care who they are, they're going to say, how do you find customers? Well, as Garth has mentioned, we have solved that. But it's only going to get better. And let me just say this before Christy closes. Right now, as Garth said, the MyoHealth infomercial is drawing very, very well. We've got more customers than what ITBOs are purchasing. And so we have solved the customer problems, which is part of the new regulation in this industry. But it's going to get better. This Nopalea that Garth talked about with Dr. Sheeler, a Mayo Medical Clinical doctor, and you go to your catalogs and you read his commitment to this thing. Listen, folks, you get we sold 15, 16, I don't know exactly how many bottles of Nopalea before we had this type of research and before we had Dr. Sheeler, a medical doctor from Mayo Clinic. It doesn't get any better than that. Then when you add the third one in, probably sometime in the fall with this brain health, with medical doctors and neurologists, Dr. Sheeler, that's our Super Bowl. That's the way we're heading. That's the way we're going. So I encourage you to get on board now. And with that, I'll turn it back to Christy. Thanks, Christy.
Thanks, Barry. So just before I let you guys go, I just wanted to remind you that our next principle of entrepreneurship, principle is bigger than burnout, stronger than stress, tougher than temper, will be on April 2nd. And that's a good one. It's a big one. So please put that in your calendar, and we'll be reminding you as well. And if you have thoughts and questions about these entrepreneurship principles, you can contact Barry at his contact information on the screen there. And just to remind you one more time, if you would, well, I'll remind you again, but if you would like the chapter of today's principle in PDF form, you can email me, and my email's right there for you. So thanks, everybody. Have a great rest of the week.
Night now. Bye.
Bye.